Hi guys, so today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 books of 2014. So these are my 10 favorite books that I read this year, and they are in order from the highest to the lowest. Number 10 on my list is The Maze Runner by James Dashner, and this was one of my favorite dystopian reads of the year. I found it very enjoyable, action-packed, and I found myself really enjoying all the characters, especially Thomas. I thought he was, even though he made some bad decisions sometimes, I thought he was a very admirable character and a great leader. I think this is also kind of a kind of modern spin to me on Lord of the Flies with a dystopian feel, and I really enjoyed this read, and I would recommend The Maze Runner to anyone. Next is a series of books, so this is going to be numbers 9 through 7, and that is the Saga series by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, and this is a graphic novel. I think this is on everyone's list this year, and it's just a graphic novel about an intergalactic war that's happening, and two different races, I guess you would say, on opposing sides fall in love and have a child. And the story just takes place with them running from people who are trying to murder the child, pretty much, and them. It's so great. It's such a good read. It's so fast paced. It has that action. It's like a new spin on like a forbidden love story. It's really great, but it is a graphic novel, if you want to say that. There is a lot of nudity and swearing in it, so that's something that I wasn't really expecting, but nonetheless I really loved it. Number 6 is The Truth About Alice by Jennifer Matehu, I think is her last name, I'm not sure. And it's just about a girl named Alice, and she's a high school student, and how there's a rumor that spread around school that she slept with 2 guys in one night, and also led to the star football player's death because she was sexting him and he crashed his car. And this story has 4 point of views: Alice, the best friend of the slain football player, Alice's ex-best friend, and the boy who lives next door. And this goes from past to present to actually tell what really happened to Alice on that night, on the night the rumor was started, and also the night that the star football player was killed. This was a really great read, and I read it super fast. It just had a lot of issues that we see now recently, especially slut shaming. I think some of the topics in it were really great and really needed to be discussed, especially in young adult literature. Number 5 is The Lover's Dictionary by David Levithan. David Levithan became one of my favorite authors this year. I read so many of his books and I loved every single one of them, but this was my favorite. The Lover's Dictionary is a story about a couple, and it goes through their relationship from them getting together, them having fights, and ultimately their breakup. But the story is told through dictionary entries. So it would be like A for abandonment, and it'd be like the time you never came home. And that's how he told the story. And they're unnamed characters. You have an unnamed narrator. You kind of can figure from the way he uses certain language that it is a male and a female, but you're not certain throughout the whole novel. It's just really great. It was a really fast-paced read. I found myself quoting so much from that book, and it just was really great. And I love that writing style of dictionary. So from A to Z, this is our love story. Number 4 on my list is Flipped by Weldon Van Daren, and it is just the story of Bryce and Julie Baker, and it's a story of puppy love and how Julie Baker has always loved Bryce, and Bryce has done everything he can to stay away from Julie Baker. It was the cutest book I read all year. Julie was so wise beyond her times, and Bryce had to just man up and see how wise and amazing Julie was. I just loved it. I loved Bryce. I loved Julie. Julie was actually my favorite character because she's just like she was just so amazing for a middle school girl. I loved her. Number 3 on my list was Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. I started Eleanor Park 3 times before I actually read it and completed it. I listened to like the first 100 pages on audiobook and I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. And then I read it through myself to the end and I was like, at the end I was like slapping myself in the face. I was like, why did I not give this book a chance? This is the best book that I've ever read. It's just so amazing. So it's about Eleanor and Park, and they go to the same school, they ride the same bus, and it talks about how Eleanor is a new girl and was picked on, and Park, even though he doesn't want to say it, he comes to her rescue, and they start a friendship and then a romance. And it just talks about how Eleanor has a hard life, whereas Park also has a hard life, and how they just are so cute. Oh, it's just like I have no words for them because they're so cute together, and they help each other with a lot of their family issues because they understand each other, and it's just really, really great. I totally loved Eleanor Park. I would recommend it to anybody who is thinking about reading it. Number 2 on my list is The Spectacular Now by Tim Tharp, and I actually watched the film before I read the book, and I love the movie. Like, the movie is like one of my top 5 favorite movies. And when I read the book, I was like, this is just, it's so amazing. And it's about Sutter Keeley, who is just he's a senior in high school, and he's an alcoholic pretty much. He can never go throughout his day without his whiskey and Sprite. And he just has no goals, no ambitions. And he meets Amy Finicky, one of his classmates, and he feels like he needs to help her find a boyfriend or be her boyfriend because Amy Finicky will never have the opportunity. And it's just like the story of him and Amy, and how Sutter doesn't realize how his actions truly affect others, and he slowly comes to realize, wow, I have a big impact on how people act and what people do, and maybe I should grow up. Pretty much sums up Sutter Keeley. I know Sutter Keeley is not the most admirable character, but I think he is the most realistic character because he reminds me a lot of actual teenage boys who just don't have their life together. And he was not rainbows and butterflies. He was typical high school male, but most high school males don't have a drinking problem. He was just really great. I do wish Amy was a bit of a stronger character, but still I think Amy's weakness kind of played with Sutter's manipulative side, I guess you would say. So it was just a really great read. I really enjoyed it. It's still my favorite book to movie adaptation probably to this day. So the number 1 book that I read this year, this was my absolute favorite read of the year, and it is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. And I'm not going to give too much of a synopsis about this because everyone is on the same page that you should go into this book without knowing anything. There's a girl, she has an accident, things happen, things are revealed. And when things were revealed, my mouth was on the floor. And it's one of those books that when I still talk about it, when I still think about it, I still get that same feeling and rush and excitement and like, oh my gosh, did this really happen? Every single time that I think about it. It just really stuck with me, and I was like, this is a great story. So great. It was really, really good. And I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that concludes my top 10 books of 2014. I hope you all enjoyed watching it, and see you in my next video. Bye!